Hey guys, just want to make sure you're absolutely clear on the expectations going into your final exam. Each of you have been given a progress report. If you haven't, you need to come see me as soon as possible to get yours. Your overall grade is based off, this is a sample one, your overall grade is based off of 6 learning targets. So under each of those learning targets, there are usually 6 tests. Not always. Your side has 3 CPs. So to get this grade up to a C or better, they need to make sure that these make it up to proficient. Each of these skills we test twice. So test A, transformations, test B, transformations. Those are the 2 times that we took it. And then you'll have a third time for most of those on the final. And in those cases, that will be your third opportunity to show me that you know how to do this. So you have to show me 2 out of those 3 times. So the ones that are not going to be on the final, so if you need to fix them, they need to be fixed outside of that, are the step functions and the parent graphs, basic polynomial equations. So in many cases, what you need to look at are the grades under those learning targets. So this person has a close to proficient for this one. He or she has 4 PRs, a developing proficiency, and a close to proficiency. The close to proficiency isn't as high priority as any of the developing proficiencies. So piecewise functions, they got developing proficiency on. This person has a developing proficiency on piecewise, and that's what is hurting this overall grade and keeping this from being proficient. So you need to figure out for yourself, based on where you made mistakes, what you need to retake and what you can just take on the final. So this one right here, complete the square, they had a developing proficiency, and then they also had a proficient. That one's going to be on the final, so they can just replace that one, and then they'll have 2 proficients. So same thing with the piecewise. They were able to pass it one time and not the other. So the developing proficiency, if they get that, then that can be replaced from the final. So keep that in mind, but for the most part. So your overall score needs to have, in order to have a C or above, each of those needs to be at proficiency level. On the bottom/back of your progress report, these 2 complex numbers learning targets are the only ones that will have HP available, that have the highly proficient available on your final. And if your grade is an A or a B going into the final, these are the only ones that could possibly hurt that, unless you completely bomb the final, and then that could hurt your grade as well. So this particular person has 3 PRs here, and then the sum and difference of cubes and the difference of squares are also not going to be on the final. If you missed the day that we did these 2, that is excused or missing on your test, which means it's not hurting your test or not hurting your overall grade. You prepare. You can take this prior to the final if you choose to. I will be here in the mornings at 30. Overall scores, to get an A, you need 3 out of 6 of your learning targets at highly proficient, 2 out of 6 highly proficient for a B, and then I got interrupted, and then I did the whole anyway. For anything with a C or above, you can't have any close to proficients or developing proficients on your learning targets. So make sure you have all those up. To get a D, which I don't really want anybody in that D range, that can be a mix of everything. No more than 2 developing proficiencies for your learning target, and you must have at least 2 proficients. You'll be allowed a single side of an 8.5/11 sheet of paper for your notes, If you have accommodations for an IEP or a 504, those can be typed, otherwise they must be handwritten. You'll be allowed to use a calculator, and you must turn in that sheet at the end of your exam. I would like you to thoroughly prepare for this. I've provided 2 final exam reviews, an A and a B, from me. Those are the 2-page ones. We're going to go over review A together. Review B is on your own. If you complete review B and you make an effort to check your answers with me, you turn that into me prior to taking the test on the 18th/19th. And you turn in a page of notes, a complete page of notes. And I want to be clear, this cannot just be the problems from the review or just examples. It actually has to contain notes that another person could use. So I don't want this to be just a series of examples. I want you to use actual notes. If you turn in that page of notes to me when you're done with your test, as well as that completed final review, then I will forgive one of the skills that you have not met. Your overall responsibility on the final, if you are happy with your grade, your responsibility is to show me that you still deserve that grade and pass your test. If you are unhappy, you must get that grade up to a C or B prior to taking the final. So if you're going for an A or B, that has to be done when you take the final, or on the 18th or 19th, depending on which day you have me. If you're currently at a D or an F, you have until the end of the semester to get your grade up to a C. So after the final, those who have an A or a B or a C for that matter, will need to do the rational expressions unit to show or to gain proficiency in that skill that you'll need for pre-calc. So wanted to make sure that I at least put it out there for people who missed class that we went over this, what is required of you for your final exam. And that is it. Have a good day.